Hey guys, welcome back to my Minecraft world. I just got killed. I was out here, I'm aging some copper, and I looked away. It went nighttime, and now I've got no levels. Killed by a zombie. I'm not usually this careless. Right, roads are done, and I feel like all I do on this channel right now is build roads. But it's done. It's done, and I don't have to do it again for hopefully ever in this settlement. I might need to tweak a couple of things, or maybe just add a little bit on where buildings are going to go and that sort of stuff. But I think this is it. Oh, there we go. Free cam. This is what it's going to be. I will show on screen now. I've kind of plotted out where everything is going to go, where whatever thing is going to be, hopefully. And yeah, I did show this on stream so people could see what I was doing when I was doing all these roads, where I was plotting them all out. And why is it always doors that never seem to age? Is that a thing? Yeah. Anyway, another thing I talked about on stream is but I don't want this to be another like multi-year project where I don't finish it, like my town. That is like the bulk of my single player world, on my channel at least. I want this to be done. I want to finish things and flesh the world out. I've got all these different little like plot threads and stuff, lore-wise, that I want to touch on, and have the way they all mesh together and feed into each other. So, yeah, but the thing that I talked about on stream is there's a thing I want to do. Hopefully I can figure out how to do it. But it should make it so that I can build a lot quicker. Or I can design builds a lot quicker at the very least. And hopefully get all this stuff fleshed out. So the project for today is up here. We're going to build the town hall. And this video is all coming together very last minute. Why am I stuttering so much? So I don't know what the lore is going to be in this episode. Oh, that's another thing. I guess I think I said in a comment, actually. I think I was replying to Denesto. I think I'm doing away with, as I have done for the past few videos, I'm doing away with the lore episode every 5 episodes thing, and I'm just going to drop it in when it's appropriate. I would like to do some lore today. I haven't written a little script or anything, and I'd prefer not to just do it off the cuff. So we'll see. This might end up being a shorter video. We'll see, because there's stories I think would make sense to tell next. Like, I've talked about the elves. I talked about the dwarves. I haven't talked about the humans, I don't think. Not in any detail. But I have zero story for this family that came and settled here. And I have a little bit of story for this family. I've decided to abstain from doing this family's backstory for the time being, because it's a whole different thing, right? I've got all this lore for the starter village, where these people came from, the lineage of their family being like the mayors of the village the whole way through. There's like important human world history, that the village is where the copper stuff comes from, that is like prevalent throughout. It's essentially like the human religion is tied to copper. Whereas here, this is a completely different build style. It's an opportunity to do something entirely just its own thing, separate from all of this baggage. So I want to do more with this at a later date. Maybe do it as its own sort of like parallel world history thing, maybe, or it'll be, at the very least, it'll be maybe a style for a different biome. We'll get there when we get there. And then maybe I can fill in who these people were at a later date. We've come back to this village and fill that in. However, I do have another thing which I could probably talk about today, which is the kind of the aftermath of them settling here, how these different families kind of intermingled and went about life in this new place that they've settled in. So I'm going to go... might just have to place this stuff and let it age naturally. Why is it always doors? Seriously. I'm going to age this stuff. The rest of my materials are pre-prepared. They're in my storage room in here. But yeah, we'll get on with the build and then we'll talk about it when I'm done. Can't believe I died to a zombie. Just AFK. Right, see you when I'm done. Okay, turns out I did write a lore script. So, in the last 2 episodes, we asked some questions about the elves and dwarves. I won't really be asking those questions about the human families just yet, but generally speaking, we have members of the Stevenson and Hanley families who've settled here. They have details to their stories I'm not ready to share while we build to the big thing about this village, or I just haven't decided what they are yet, as I just discussed with the Hanley family's backstory. Instead, we're going to look at how the village of Bright Hollow developed and meet some characters, some that we've mentioned previously, who will be very important figures as we tell more stories going forward. First off though, how did the different cultures of these groups mix? Broadly speaking, the elves tend to be quite defensively minded, using their magic for protection and preservation, and have something of an earned superiority complex, though not in an arrogant way, more so because of their literally more advanced technology and society. They take their self-appointed role of protectors or shepherds of the younger races quite seriously. They don't interfere though, allowing the dwarves and humans to find their own paths, but they will offer mentorship when appropriate and help ensure global safety and well-being. Conversely, the dwarves tend to be more reclusive and independent, while also proud and honourable. They used to culturally take pride in their grand works of stone shaping and their artisanal pursuits. However, at the time this village was settled, a shift had occurred in the temperament of all dwarf society. With honour being so core to their culture and identity, the whole matter with the dragon plunged them all into a society-wide sense of guilt and responsibility, which they carried from then on. This manifested here as the dwarf settlers building their home on the surface and taking charge of food production for the whole village, 2 things that reflect their rejection of traditional dwarf traits. Again, broadly speaking, humans are inquisitive and adaptive as a people. They're the youngest of the 3 races, appearing in the world most recently, but also the youngest lived species, which is to say, they have the shortest lifespan. They had at this time a sense of urgency to catch up to their predecessors and prove themselves equals, though over time this has waned somewhat as the elves and dwarves had disappeared from the world. This manifested itself in a desire to make the most of their time, to do with their lives something important and meaningful, to help push humanity forward, to matter. All of this mixed together, especially at the time it did, resulted in the start of a settlement where people were instilled with the values of responsibility, humility, adventure, and the discovery and sharing of knowledge, prospering together and passing it all down to their progeny. Next, how did each group contribute to the village? Well, infrastructure-wise, the dwarves established the farm that feeds everyone, but they also, even though I haven't built it yet, built the perimeter wall to keep everyone safe from passing hordes of hostile mobs. Their innate predisposition for stone shaping should manifest in some of the masonry around the village, but due to their drastically dwindled numbers and usual preference for living underground, the dwarvish presence may end up being the least visibly represented over time. The same can be said of the elves too, who may prove to have an even smaller presence represented once the village is all done and built. However, some of their architectural styling, such as domed towers, had already made it into human design by the time of Bright Hollow's founding. The humans, however, being the most populous, have had the biggest impact on the village's aesthetic. Aside from their greater number though, they're also the people who most permanently live here. For, as we've learnt in previous videos, over time, the elves and dwarves that still call this place home become more and more absent, instead travelling or questing around the world. This naturally led to the human influence being the most represented in not only the architecture and infrastructure, but also the governance of the area. The lasting impact of this place and their ideals spread far and wide, eventually being a place of great importance worldwide. Mainly for humans, but also somewhat for the elves and dwarves, as this is one of the few places they are known to still reside. I don't want to say why exactly this small village in the middle of nowhere is so important just yet, as it'll spoil the big thing about this place I'm building up to. But it started with a little council that formed to lead and govern Bright Hollow. Soon after settling, each of the groups, the elves, dwarves and humans, elected a leader to represent their interests going forward, to make decisions and act as primary protectors of the village. They called themselves the Fellowship, and their initial lineup included two of the people we've met already, Yardirwen and Faria, and also the head of the Stevenson family. Their duties were mainly hunting and patrolling early on, ensuring everyone was safe and had enough to eat while the farm was still growing. After a couple of generations, when the village is a bit more established and the population has grown somewhat, the Fellowship also become a sort of ambassadorial entity too. And on top of their other duties, they start travelling to neighbouring settlements to trade and build alliances. It's around now that we encounter the most pivotal iteration of the Fellowship. The elf role was taken over by another person we've met, Ethelbine. The dwarf role was taken over by Hal, the son of the dwarves we've already met too. And the human role was taken over by Ted Hanley, whose father held the position previously. Ethelbine and Hal pretty much grew up together and knew Ted's father well while he was in the Fellowship, so it took time for them to see Ted himself as more than their friend's child or a surrogate little brother. But the three of them soon found mutual respect and equal footing while carrying out their duties. The thing they bonded over the most, though, was the coincidence that they each happened to be mages, a rare occurrence in humans and almost unheard of for most dwarves. They would try and teach each other their own magic and find new spells on their travels, even developing their own from time to time. This was taking place around the time of the notable battle involving the first incarnation of the Perpetuals, see episode 50, which, although a disaster, resulted in a period of peace for the world in general, allowing the Fellowship's typical trade journeys to neighbouring towns and villages to evolve into long-term expeditions and adventures, venturing far and wide to meet new peoples, learn more magic, hone their abilities, eventually returning home with exotic magical knowledge, relics, and so on. And that's where we're leaving the story of Ethelbine, Hal, and Ted for now. We'll pick it up again when the aforeteased big thing that we're building towards happens. But maybe those of you who know me and are paying close attention can already guess where this is headed. No spoilers from me though. Okay guys, done with the build. Just want to check. Look at this. Right, okay. I went and checked. I did a quick Google search. Why does it seem like the doors take too long? And apparently it's because the door is like 2 blocks, right, instead of 1. So the random tick thing that decides like, the colour of the blocks changed. It's at odds with itself because the top might go, but the bottom might, or whatever. And also stuff that's adjacent to stuff that hasn't changed yet. Right? If it's I don't need these to be the right color right now, but if it's this, and I want this to change to that, but it was touching this. If there's something younger touching it, it's less likely to change, apparently, says Google. So, if you want something younger to age, put it touching something that's older. So I grabbed some of these, put the doors on, and then I tried this as well, thinking, okay, if both parts of the door are touching an oldest stage copper block, hopefully that'll change. It's all still random tick stuff, right? So it still took forever. Anyway, it's been like 2.5 hours of building, and maybe another half hour where I started my lore script. I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know what I said during the time lapse. This still hasn't changed yet all the way. Crazy. We need Mojang. We need a way to like actively age copper, because this is I don't know. Unless you're actively doing it all the time, it's just a whole thing, right? Anyway, the build. I haven't flown around it yet, actually. In place, I flew around it a bunch when I was designing it in creative mode, but I haven't seen it in situ yet, which is pretty cool. I also haven't looked at it on the map. I didn't look on the map when I had all this put in. last episode either. So let's do that real quick. Yeah. Right. So hopefully it's somewhat noticeable looking at this thing, how it's come together. So this is not exactly how I want this to go going forward. But basically there's definite kind of obvious, starkly different aspects of this build that are directly borrowed from the other buildings, right? The different families, they come together, build this thing, and it's a everyone does their part sort of thing. So we've got the Hanley house, we've got basically this bit kind of is the bit that I kind of I added on the sides here. The same sort of window thing, kind of. I didn't do the gates on this one, but that's there. We've got mostly it's the Stevenson's house represented there. Basically, they'll be the wealthiest family. So maybe they just supplied most of the materials for the build. Then we've got some of this sort of stuff. The this bit in particular I've got here, and the granite, and we've got this bit which is kind of like this bit, and we've got the sort of unequilateral. What's the right term for that? I don't remember anymore. Pentagon thing. 1, 2, hexagon. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hexagon. That is that's meant to be kind of the shape with the dwarves. And then of course there's the big tower at the top, the big domed tower thing, which is all over my other town hall buildings. If I remember, I'll have a little clip where we look at a couple of them. But that is, yeah, that's a piece of elf architectural thing that's made it into the humans stuff anyway. It's there in my starter village. It's there in my castle, even in the town, and so on. I actually did almost forget. Right, so here's the town hall in my starter village. I think you can see quite plainly the lineage between the different town hall buildings present in this one. We've got the tunnel through the middle. We've got the deep slate at the bottom, surrounded by stone, which is updated in the new one to have tuff here as well. All this stuff, and yeah, this is the kind of first iteration. So here's the one in the town. Similar, somewhat structure. We've got the tower in the middle. We've got the wider base just about with the smaller next level. We do kind of have the tunnel, kind of, but it's enclosed here. I guess we do have the tunnel more on this level this time. This open bit here. But yeah, there is I guess the third iteration actually of the town hall idea. I'll just go sleep and then we'll go to the desert, which I haven't been to for a long time. Oh man, it's been so long since I've been here. Yeah, so this is loosely, I guess, the same sort of idea. It is kind of it is that kind of thing. That's what it's meant to be. It is lacking the little tower on top, but it's such a tiny build. It's meant to be village scale, like Minecraft village scale. This is a desert village that I kind of rebuilt, repurposed to bring back a style that I did earlier on. How have you guys got up there? Earlier on in my Minecraft building journey, I just wanted to represent this somewhere in my world. Something I did on server with friends. And yeah, this is just like a little outpost version of the thing. So that's what this is. Same, got the little tunnel. This is more emblematic of like just the echoes of the idea being kind of pervasive in the human stylings of the builds and whatnot. Anyway, back to wherever I insert this into the video. Some other stuff that's kind of borrowed from previous iterations of the town hall. The rose bushes, I believe, are in this sort of window alcove thing, which itself is also borrowed from the town hall in my starter village. The tunnel thing going through, that's in the starter village one as well. They all have this sort of shape. Before we go inside, I am really happy with the domed bit. I think that looks really cool. All the shelves, man, shelves are so good. I really like all the little detail here. But let's head inside. As I say, there's no interior, but that's partly because well, I need to add stuff in here over time. I do need to bring in the map of the area kind of before we started doing any of this stuff around here. Not sure where they'll go, because I would like them to be side by side, like a map at the start and a map at the end. Maybe we'll bring it upstairs somewhere, I don't know. But I figure we've got all the space, we can put stuff that's kind of meaningful to the history of the town, like stuff that I've done in, like if we look at my Lotus Season 3 base, at the end I filled a museum, which bears some resemblance to this build, actually. It was another big kind of rectangular building with a tower in the middle and a tunnel underneath. I filled a museum with all my little keepsakes from the season. Maybe that's what a lot of the space will be. I guess this is the most decorated part. Don't know what's going to go in here, but I've got the banners. I've got 2 human banners. I mean, this one's loosely related, but yeah, 2 human banners, the dwarf banner and the elf banner. I've got those in here for some symbolism of like unity between the different groups. Up here, I don't know what's going to go in here, but I like this little bit where you can come out and you can like look out. It's like a little lookout bit, and I guess some roof access, but yeah, I like this little bit. And if we go all the way up, we are up here. Got the aside from the kind of domed tower being an elvish thing, I did need to put in some representation of the geode somehow. So purple in the middle, white, and then dark on the outside. Somewhat geode-esque. But yeah, that's the build. It still needs filling, of course. And I think I could do oh, hello. I think I could do a more robust job of dressing it up on the outside. I think if I get some trees and more foliage around here, kind of nestle it into the terrain a bit more, that might help things. But that will be a job for kind of the end of this place when it's done. Similar to like my Lotus Season 3 base, I did like a details pass at the end. I think it'll be that sort of job, probably. I think probably I need to cut the terrain back a bit further on this side as well. And close this off so zombies don't come out. I can't remember if I actually said this or not as I'm recording, so I'm just adding this extra clip in. I think I was in the middle of saying this is not how I wanted this to come out necessarily. This is how I wanted this to come out, but not how I want the rest of the village to look. Here we've got distinctly, here is the bit from these guys. Here's the bit from the dwarves. Here's the bit kind of from the elves. Here is the bit from the starter village style. As we go forwards, I feel like I don't want this at all. I want it to be, everything will kind of just be its own thing. It will all merge. None of this will be distinctly dwarven stuff. Maybe this idea of like the stone with the dark oak bracing into a little roof thing here. That just becomes the normal human build palette. That sort of thing. The same way that this is a holdover from elf architecture being represented in the starter village already. So it already looks like human build palette, right? I want the kind of more Japanese inspired stuff, at least for this settlement, to meld into that sort of thing a bit more. And same with the dwarf stuff. I would like maybe some of the little details and stuff. Maybe I can find another way to implement some of these shapes into the stonework on some of the more human style buildings. We'll see. Hopefully I can pull that off. Yeah. Anyway, back to whatever I was saying. Also, we've got to do the thing where we walk around at ground level and kind of get a feel for the views. This isn't how it's going to look, really, because there'll be buildings here obscuring this. Maybe some more trees and stuff as well. But I guess when we get to this bit, we've got the trees like flanking the road here. There is some sort of this is what it might be like. I feel like maybe I need even more tall oak trees here. Maybe bring up these little walls and stuff as well. Just to kind of one of the things I did on that Lotus Season 3 base was there was a lot of forcing you to be confined onto the road. So your attention is kind of led in certain directions. So maybe that's something we do here. One other thing, actually, that's been bugging me, which maybe it's not really a problem, is the size of the dome and the tower versus the rest of the building. It is a bit chunky, but I think I like it. The dwarf section maybe is a bit small. Maybe that could do with having been a bit wider here. But I don't know. I feel like maybe this is let's say representative of the demographics of this place. Dwarves in general are almost extinct, functionally extinct. So their contribution to the build maybe just representationally, whichever the right word is. Maybe that's just the smallest bit. The unfortunate bit is that these bits are quite small. They do look a bit funky. Just this like extra white blob on the sides. Maybe I address that at some point. I don't know. I don't think that's representative of like their presence in the village. I feel like, in fact, I know for a fact it's not because of the Hanley's involvement in the fellowship with the characters we've probably just heard about in the script I haven't written yet, but you will have heard already. I think maybe the reliance on this style is more that it's tied to my pre-existing town hall buildings and also the existing wealth of the Stevenson family, which will probably will also be reflected in further builds as we build more of the village. Still hasn't changed. Wild. The trapdoors have changed. This still hasn't. Okay, anyway. Just enough about copper doors. My god. So, that's it for this one. I think next thing I want to do... I have no idea what the next thing is that I want to do here. I guess I need to figure that out. Lore-wise, the kind of the next stage in the story for the Fellowship, that's a ways away, unfortunately. That's going to require something of a mega build. I'm just that's not happening anytime soon. Haven't even started. So I guess the next thing is getting some of the other buildings populated in this area. If, as I said before, if I can figure out the thing I want to do to kind of enable me to build a lot quicker, then that'll be great. And not only will it take the load off in terms of, oh my god, this is too big a project and it's going to take a year or two to finish. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully, if I can figure this out, it will enable me to get it done in a few months instead of like a couple of years, like the town that's not even finished yet. But also it lessens the load in terms of the thing I just talked about, which is the mega build that will kind of conclude the story of the Fellowship and kind of the next stage in the history of this place. I don't know. We'll see, because maybe I can't do the thing that I'm hoping I can do, and I'll talk about that more when I've actually sat down and had a go at starting to do it, because I've got the idea, but I haven't tried to implement it yet. So we'll see. But if that doesn't work out, I know it will work for different styles of place. Being vague. If it doesn't work out for this place, then maybe I move on and start the mega build, and maybe that all comes about sooner rather than later. So yeah, guys, hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it didn't feel too thrown together at the last minute, which of course it was. I'm sorry. But yeah, hopefully I managed to pull something off here. Hopefully it was interesting. Hopefully you like the build. Please, any comments, any questions about story? Maybe I never get any kind of questions or anything. I'd love to. I mean, not only would I like to answer them if I have the answers yet, it will also kind of prompt stuff creatively if you have any questions, and kind of inform lore as I go forward, probably. So yeah, please leave a comment if you're at all invested in my lore stuff here. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, guys, please hit like on the video. If you want to follow what I do here, please hit subscribe. Do you have channel memberships now? If you really want to support me. Yeah, that's it for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.